Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here tonight with a game that we haven't actually gotten to play in a little while, so I'm very, very pleased to finally be blowing the dust off of this one and picking it back up again. So, we are playing Session 6 of Thunder Ridge. Tonight's episode is going to be titled Winter Deems a Shallow Grave. This is a game that takes place, an ongoing campaign that takes place in a homebrewed setting of mine called Caldera, which is very much kind of a blending of Wild West and fantasy. It is played using D&D 5e, so there will be a lot of similarities and references to rules if you are a 5e fan. So, yeah, I think. The same warning that I give on the beginning of all of my games. And that is that if foul language and mature subject matters are problems for you, then this is not a good idea for you to watch. Turn around, go home. Do not collect $200. But if those things do not bother you, then come on in. Have a seat. My computer just completely and totally shit the bed. Alright. I think we're still alive. Hello? Out there in TV land?
Looks
Cool.
like it to me.
All right. I have no
You're
idea.
still going as of right now. So
we're gonna figure it out in post. Yeah. So I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, tell you where you may be able to find them on the internet, plug anything that they might have going on, and then I think we're gonna kick this ball off the side of the mountain. I don't know what that means, but we're here for it. So, first up, let's have. He's not in frame, but we're going to start with Chad. Chadimus Prime.
hello there. I also think Chad is here. Other Chad is
Yes.
here. So we just need to move
working on
Chef
that.
around. There we go. Now I feel.
Half a
Nope.
face. There you go.
Hello. Hi. My name is Chad, as we refer to on this channel, Chad Prime. And I am playing Virgil Tomb Talon. He is a Voltura warlock here in Caldera, and I am having a blast with this character. I'm having a blast with this group. This is such a fun game, Jeremy. I'm absolutely blown away by this. So yeah, I'm ready to, kick some ass, take some names, pluck some feathers, whatever we got to do. But yeah, so glad to be back with you guys. So glad to be back on this channel. It's never a dull moment when you're hanging out with Jeremy. So let's go, baby. Let's go.
I choose to take that as a compliment. Yeah. I'm super happy to have you, man. As always, it's interesting because like I get to see you on a weekly basis on Jake's channel, but
yeah, I mean,
it's like
we're brothers now. Yeah, it's like we're brothers now.
We might
for
as well
real.
be.
Yeah.
Did we just become best friends?
I guess so. Yes, we have so much room for activities now. Yes.
All right. Speaking of so much room for activities, next up we have Nathan.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
As
and not
well
any
you
other
should.
possible way it could be taken. I'm Dimension 119. You can find me there on all the socials. I mostly stream on Twitch. It's kind of my thing. We're doing a lot of survival games, video games on the channel. Taking a break from big playthroughs and playing a lot of survival games. Look, I'm playing Subnautica and Subnautica Below Zero, which means I'm spending a lot of time in the water, which, as I've said before, is very peaceful at times. And then at other times, I'm screaming and running for my life in the game. And my chat is relentless. They like to throw out jump scares with my channel point redeems and get me screaming even more and watch that heart rate counter go up higher. So it's going to be nice to play a peaceful game where we're trying to stay out of jail tonight. So I'm sure there will be no hearts racing or heart stopping action or anything like that. It'd be nice and peaceful. I am playing Dusty
Absolutely.
Reynolds, a coyote that enjoys throwing knives.
No, everything will be perfectly fine and smooth and carefree, I'm sure. As it always is. Speaking of carefree, next up, we have Todd.
I'm Todd. I am playing Elias Stock. He's an Owlin and a gunslinger. Trying to remember what I was this time.
Right?
Not publicly on the internets. Don't have anything to plug.
Perfect. Absolutely. Succinct and beautiful. Yeah, it's been a hot minute since we played these characters. I've had the good fortune to recently go back over my notes, so I at least feel a little more familiar about what's going on. Speaking of a little familiar, next up is Glenn.
Wow, it's like you read my yearbook. No, yeah, so I'm Glenn. I'm playing Saul or Solomon Tume, a Fennec Fox wizard. Similar to Todd's, I don't do a lot on the internets other than this. So if you found me here, you're already here. So there you go. Now you know where you are.
And there we have it. Yeah, thank you very much, man. I also get the luxury of seeing you and Todd offline. It's happened at least a few more times than since the last time we got to play Thunderridge. So I'm happy that we're picking this one back up, though. I really am very excited.
Yeah, excited for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. All right. Speaking of excited, last but certainly not least, we have other Chad.
Now I feel obligated to be excited. Yeah, you can call me Chad Not Prime. I am playing Lucky Laz. I don't know how lucky he is, especially so far, but he's like a rabbit that your kid has dragged around for years, and the eye is missing, and it's got pop seams that you've restitched and stuff like that. But he's an actual rabbit character, so he's missing an arm and a leg, and an eye and an ear, and he's all patched together, and everything holding him together is his armor, because that's what he does. He forges magical armor and weapon modifications and stuff as an artificer. So he might have a run-in with an old friend tonight, from what I recall. Friend would probably not be the term I would use, but I'm Chad Smith, and you can find me on Absolute Tabletop, maybe on Facebook. If you haven't checked them out, you can find some other crazy folks just like these that I've surrounded with, and maybe you are one, and you can jump right in and be crazy with the rest of us, and either run games or play in them or whatever. Just shoot RPG ideas off of other people, brainstorm, whatever have you. But that's enough babbling from me, and I will pass it back to you, Jeremiah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll second that. AbTab is a fantastic community filled with very creative, very inclusive, very warm, encouraging people. So yeah, definitely go check them out. Cool. I think that's everything that we have before we're getting started. So without further ado, I think we can go ahead and set fire to this chuck wagon. Who writes these? Maybe I need a writer. No idea. According to Durathian myth, magic once sprang up out of the ground here, flowing across these lands like the creeks and streams we now speak the names of. Magic was in such plenty that even children were capable of using it to enhance their day-to-day lives. Abundance of such measures that no one went without. But every paradise has its snakes, I suppose. And when the great calamity occurred, magic retreated. The well springs dried up, and what followed was nothing short of a drought. And now that magic is starting to seep out of the ground once more, the snakes are some of the first to come looking for a drink. We find ourselves back in the mountains to the northwest of the Caldera Territories. Back once again in the snow-covered streets of Thunder Ridge. A small town that seems like it may not stay small for much longer. A recent discovery, a recent claim on nearby lands has seemed to draw a lot of attention lately. There's a lot of newcomers to Thunder Ridge, including a group of strange individuals who are animal people. And it seems as though the majority of the newcomers to Thunder Ridge have designs in one way or another on either the future of the town or perhaps even what happens with the wealth that may come out of this claim, including representatives of the Wellington Rails Railroad Company. So I think we see shortly after the shootout that happened in the farrier's yard, kind of off of the main street behind one of the rows of buildings that kind of lines the side of the main street. There's a couple of dead cowboys laying in the mud. And a sheriff who's kind of completing her investigation of what might have happened here. But as we pan across the rest of the town, the wood shingled roofs that are covered in snow, where is it that we find your group? Where do we find the five of you? And what is currently happening?
I know that Laz is gonna be double checking the identity of the guy that we followed out here, right? So he's got to make sure that we didn't just eliminate the wrong guy. So he's definitely checking into that.
Okay. Everyone else?
I think last we saw Saul, he had been conversing with the sheriff at the investigation scene, and if I remember correctly, she had made a non-threatening but somewhat snarky remark and showed and picked up what is called a hunk of Virgil, is a feather or whatnot. So I think at this point, having thought that everybody else has escaped the scene, Saul will be heading back towards the bar to see if we can just to wait for everybody to show back up.
I think Dusty was trying to help Virgil out of the area, so wherever Virgil is where Dusty would be. If I remember right, Virgil got pretty messed up, and I think Dusty was trying to help him, staunch the bleeding and whatnot.
Oh, most gloriously. I have been absolutely Kentucky Fried Chicken up in this bitch. And I believe that like he wants to get away from this space as fast as humanly possible. And Dusty is kind of like dragging him away. But I believe that we'd have enough time before she got there to kind of make our way through. And I imagine that at some point we would make our way back to. What do you think, Dusty? Do you think that, well, how far away from would we be from like our hideout? Our hideout's down the mountain, right? Like down the mountainside and a little bit of ways, right? We wouldn't be able to.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's actually further up the mountain. I think it's about
further
a
up the
half.
mountainside.
I think it's about a half-day travel. Maybe not even
Okay.
that far. It may only be a couple
Definitely
of
not.
hours.
Definitely not enough to be like dragged to that space. So the
Probably not without
saloon, though,
horses.
yeah, but the saloon's pretty within like walking distance for us to like get
Yeah,
there, right?
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Let me see. What is the
I think we
name?
may have established. I can't remember exactly how we snuck out before
mhm,
of the saloon because I know we had rooms.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a back door.
So
that I
I
know.
imagine that like we're probably
Before you all decided to go experiment with the locals, I guess, or do whatever,
mhm,
I had reserved the back room for us. That's where Saul was
gotcha.
during. I think we had literally talked about like I don't know if it was talked about like, hey, let's be low key or whatever and have some fun, and then like I stayed in the room and then you all departed, and then it became the Departed.
Hey,
Yep. Yep.
let's be fair. Dusty was gambling when everything happened.
That's true. Just as a refresher, Dusty won a lovely set of grips, I think, like pearl
Mhm.
handle or like
Oh.
magical +1 grips.
Yep.
Nice.
That's right. But
Yeah.
yeah. So there's the room still. It's been about 10 minutes.
So I imagine there's a back room, and I imagine that there's some form of like billiard table that like Dusty has now unceremoniously like slung this poor bird man on top of, and he's just like, ah, help, ah, what the
And
hell?
and Dusty is trying to help, but Dusty has absolutely -1 idea what he's doing.
Absolutely. It's called the Queen's Block
This
Saloon and
sucks.
Billiards Hall. Just as a
Yep. I think he'll like groggily look over to you, Dusty. He's like, don't draw attention to don't draw attention to cops or the sheriffs or nothing, but if there is a doctor in the house, bring him back here. Help me stitch me up. God dang.
Or I guess I mean I assume Dusty would know this. Or is any of our group skilled in medicine at all? Because that would be Dusty's first thought before going and finding like a town doctor.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you'll have a cleric. I don't think you have a paladin. So probably not a lot in the healing department.
Okay,
like
I
druid or ranger even. No.
guess Dusty's gonna go try to find a local doctor and hope that he can keep it hush hush.
Okay. Oh yeah. Anybody else? No?
No, I think Saul's probably delayed from getting back, right? Since he was working with the sheriff. And
Mhm.
Elias was invisible at the end of last episode.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, Elias was on the rooftop invisible.
And yeah, on the
shooting
roof of
down
the
from
Yeah, I was invisible on the rooftop, and then I took the stairs down and was heading back to the bar as well, since I wasn't
Perfect.
seen at the scene, as it
Mhm.
were.
I think then like probably then Laz, you said you were gonna try to confirm the identity somehow or figure something out. So I think that's probably where we're at.
It probably wouldn't have taken him too long.
Oh, okay. That was like before you took off.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. And where were you headed?
I would have probably went with them, and then I could probably stay with Virgil as Dusty goes to get help.
Cool.
And I'm gonna have to probably change my armor from the defensive mode to the stealth mode, so it'll be less recognizable. So I'm probably taking some time to do that.
Well then, yeah, Jeremy, if you allow, then I think if I can catch Dusty as he's leaving
Yeah, sure.
on that, yeah, and I think that's as Saul's coming back to catch Dusty. He'd be like, Dusty, where are you off to?
I believe that Virgil's pecked off a little more than he can chew, and I don't think, and I think Dusty gets a little closer and kind of maybe lowers himself down a little closer to Saul. I don't think any of us can help him out of his current situation.
I do suppose you're right, but at the same time, Dusty, I don't know that it's great for us to be, well, public at the moment. Perhaps we should use Primrose or one of the other ladies to acquire the doctor. Step back inside and then try to get you to go back and get Primrose to go fetch the doctor for us. Or
Oh, yeah.
or Elias. Or Ellis, sorry, or Ellis.
Yeah, that sounds like a much better plan to Dusty. So he would definitely go back in and start using his -1 medicine on Virgil again, just to make sure he stays alive. I have no idea if he's actually dying, or Dusty doesn't. So I'm just assuming that Dusty thinks Virgil's dying no matter what at this point.
Especially whenever you keep like jamming your thumb into like his open wounds. That definitely does not seem to be.
I don't
helping.
understand why this keeps hurting.
Saul seems oddly comfortable with it at this point. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Virgil might be dying.
Again. He
So,
left
yeah.
the room, but I'm curious what he did with the skull. Is it still in like the satchel with him?
I'd like to think it's just floating above him.
That's where I thought I was last, was
Yeah.
just floating.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he had it activated, so so yeah, it's just kind of hovering next to his, the bed or the stacked sack of flour or whatever that he's laid out on in his current state.
Dusty. Dusty.
Go ahead.
Dusty, how was your look before the festivities?
I was playing a very mean hand of cards before the festivities kicked off. I came around the corner when they were already engaging in discussions, and Dusty would tap a weapon, any weapon, his knife, maybe the pistols he got that are just kind of stuffed in his belt right now, just to indicate discussion.
We up on the gold? You up on gold on that one, or I find myself somewhat well, I'm not lacking by that much, I suppose. Ellis, if you would, we're gonna go ahead and just keep rounds free for a while. So Don't know what the exchange rate is here. I say keep it on the quiet, but everything's on me for the next, say, hour. But no one gets in the back room.
Ellis kind of nods. Should I tell him just a mysterious benefactor?
No, just keep the place busy by feeding locals and regulars. Sheriff comes through. Well, of course, I would never ask you to stand in the way of justice. So please, make sure that she could be escorted by herself back to the back room. We're happy to discuss things.
You're expecting the sheriff?
Potentially, yes. That's right. Virgil almost is dead. Is there a doctor or like someone who works with horses you could bring? Seems Virgil's
a bird.
6 of one, half a dozen of another. I mean,
Right.
if you have an avian specialist, I'm one, amazed, but two, interested, I suppose. Bird watcher.
Well, I don't think there's anybody here by that vocation, but I'll go fetch the doc.
Excellent. He may by the back door might be best. It's a bit of an embarrassing injury. Discretion.
No. Of course.
Thank you. And then I'll go probably grab a drink and go sit and stare at Virgil.
All right. Laz, backtracking a little bit. You said that you were trying to uncover the truth of someone's identity?
He just trying to make sure that the person he identified is the person, just to double check. But
okay.
I'm pretty sure that it was as the player, but Laz would be double checking.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember. I think it was... What was this guy's name? Jack of Spades. I think that's it. That's him?
Yep, Jack of Spades
There
and
you
two
go.
others. Yeah.
Sir.
Sherman, Jack of Spades.
Blake.
And Bullock.
Bullock. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. So, yes, that was absolutely who you just gunned down. That and two other individuals that you didn't recognize. But you definitely remember Ace of or Jack of Spades from whenever you used to ride with a more nefarious group.
I would probably, as part of the identification and as part of Laz's unquenchable thirst for the arcane, would probably detect magic over their corpses to see if there's anything worthwhile.
I could be wrong, but I think that we might have done that at the end of
I think you
last
got
session.
the pistols.
Okay,
that's what I had.
That's where we got the ivory or the pistol. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, he had two.
Then I would be back.
Two decent pistols, if I can remember. Dusty's trying to find the notes on the pistols. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if they've been identified.
Said right what they do or not yet. So yeah, I don't know that you know, but they are definitely worth looking into more. You can tell just by looking at them, just by holding on to the weight of them. Okay. So it sounds like for the most part, everybody is making tracks pretty quickly back to the Queen's Block and then is kind of laying low for the time being. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Right here.
I think there's a lot of rumors that you probably catch wind of, kind of even if you're staying in the back room at the Queen's Block. There's just a lot of loose tongues in an establishment like this, especially with this place being such a small town. And you hear quite a few different rumors. The first of which is that whoever was involved in the shootout at the farrier's yard, that the people that they rode into town with are pretty pissed, and they are scouring the town looking for who is responsible. And if the rumors are to be believed, then at least some of the people in this posse ride with stripes on their shoulders. They are members of the Army of the Integrated Realms.
Shit.
You also hear that there's already a posse that has been sent out to look into the attack on the stagecoach that happened a few nights ago. People are definitely starting to ask questions about that, about the strangeness of it. Although you have it on decent authority that the prevailing theory is that it was another group of animal beings known as the menagerie, who Virgil may or may not know something about. Then, of course, is all the buzz about the claim, and that it might be bigger than first thought. That the railroad seems to be very, very intent on securing a foothold here in Thunder Ridge. So, I think those are probably the rumors that you hear while you're kind of hanging and laying low. At some point, a doc will come by, and I don't know about a town this small having a doctor who can actually do healing magic. You know what? Okay. I'm going to give you he's got a draft, basically, that he can give you, and it'll be a potion of cure. The healing potion, that's what it's called, 5th edition. Apparently it's decently potent, so you're going to get 7 hit points back from that. And then, obviously, during the downtime that y'all have, you can take a short rest if you would like. So, feel free to spend any hit dice if you'd like. I think at some point, I think the sheriff is going to come around again.
For the group, like, as far as I know, Saul and Dusty have no idea what the fuck just happened, other than we heard a major shootout. So I guess on that one, I think Saul's gonna look to Elias probably as the adult in the room. Like, I think there's probably a good 10 minutes of just Saul looking at you. Like, what?
You gonna say something?
What the fuck happened? Like, we've barely been in town half a day. What the fuck happened?
Saw somebody that he needed to follow. We followed. Shenanigans occurred and shootings happened.
Shenanigans have occurred. Well, shit. Can never really account for shenanigans at a time like that. Why the fuck would we shoot people in broad daylight? I don't know if you've noticed, there's a few more people in town.
Oh, I noticed. I was following. I did not start shooting.
Excellent. Mystery is refined. Um, I
I need
hope for Virgil's sake that he didn't get the first shot off and still ended up like this. So last the fuck? Like what?
Are we all back? We're all back together now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Seems there was someone familiar, I reckon.
Okay,
Doesn't
so
look so familiar anymore.
there's it's very succinct, I think, but there's a section in the middle where how you go from like, hey, college friend, roommate, buddy of mine that I haven't seen in a long time. Virgil's almost dead. The sheriff's looking for us because there's 3 dead bodies out there. Wait, what happened? Like, enlighten me. It only took apparently 10 minutes, but like maybe we could take 5 and just.
I tried not to pull any triggers, you see, but he recognized me and decided that he needed to shoot at us.
Excellent. It's a simple matter of self-defense. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
He had no reason whatsoever to shoot you first.
Well, I I was hoping that he thought I was dead and wouldn't recognize me.
Excellent. So, assuming that the other people who are with him, recognize you,
I'd very much like it for them to be dead too. Even if they don't recognize me.
out of curiosity, do you have a means of killing everybody in this town? Like,
Have ideas.
that's practical. I mean, we have timetables. Shit.
Most of them include me inside of this armor.
Yes. Gotta be polite. Is there a reason that other people might see this group of people come try to kill you and be like, yep, no, that was a good idea, other than the fact that you just killed one of their friends in broad daylight? Like, are you wanted for things more than we know?
Well, the military and we don't really get along.
Well, for that, I agree. I'm
They, I used to work with them,
that's a
and they kind of
comment.
put me behind bars once or twice, even though I worked for them. And most people don't see them as a problem, but they're not good.
Oh, I eye to eye and aligned with you on that. Jeremy, last time I think you mentioned that the turtle was also wearing stars. Was wearing a star. Like, was he
Yes.
rocking a sheriff?
Yes, he is a member of a group known as the Reclaimers. They're kind of like the Texas Rangers or Pinkertons. They're kind of a small militant force that carries a pretty large reputation. And depending on who you ask, it's a good reputation or a bad reputation.
So, got it. Yeah, well, I suspect then that answers our questions.
Yes. So, I used to like acquire such things as these, and he'd point to the device that's on his part of the chest armor that powers his whole suit. We used to reclaim those from people that found them.
Got it. Yeah, I'm not at all unfamiliar. I'm not unfamiliar with such roles and responsibilities and such. Well, shit. I guess it's going to be a cold winter, gentlemen, because I don't know that there's a positive way for us to stay here.
Yeah, if he's here, Morgath's probably not far.
Yeah. I have no desire whatsoever to invite the military around or more railroadmen, but we're also not really equipped for a winter in the wilds. So I was hoping perhaps we could get the sheriff on our side. I don't know that we can do that in this instance. So I'm simply trying to figure out how we can massage this situation such that we don't end up on a wanted poster between here and the next 9 counties. I'd like to be able to return to this town at some point and, you know, purchase supplies.
Have been a safe, well, secure place to be.
Yes. Virgil, are you alive yet? Or dead?
See ever?
Flip a coin. The skull is still here, so I suspect he's still around. Virgil?
Like, I can only imagine the imagery of like when the Emperor from Dark Crystal rises from the bed as if the last breath of life still resides. Hurts like a son, bitch. I'll be all right.
Oh, good. You're alive.
Yep. So, as in between my bouts of extreme pain and nearly passing out, I seem to overhear your conversation about what to do about our hullabaloo that we got going on. Well, unfortunately, there are a number of my feathers out there on the property. Now, I'm not the only vulturing around here. I'm pretty sure that's perfectly fine, but you're right. It's gonna be a real hard mess to try to clean up, but I imagine you, so already got machinations on how to fix that for us.
Machinations on how to fix that? I was sitting here 20 minutes ago. Machination on how Primrose. Mm-hmm.
Listen, there's a reason. There's a reason, my friend, why sometimes I lean on you. Okay?
Typically, you're low on blood, but
I don't. Look, I'll be honest, I don't make the most smart decisions in this world. I don't. You can ask Elias. I made a lot of stupid decisions in my life. Well, this here's one of them.
But Virgil, none of us are here for making the right call.
No, but you asked us to lay low, and I went to help a friend. Kind of looks over at Laz. Yep, went to go help a friend, investigate somebody that he really seemed like he needed to go investigate. So I had to go and take a look at it. And of course, well, things went tits up. Now we're here. So he kind of sits all the way up on the billiard table. The billiard's kind of like spread out away from his feathered body. Kind of gets up and kind of on haphazard sea legs. All right. Well, look, we want to be able to stay here. I imagine that the people here in this here saloon are very familiar with us right now, and you have made quite a few friends here, so in this here saloon. Now, the rest of the town, I don't know about the rest of the town, but we might as well hold ourselves up in here.
I'm not entirely sure that's not overly short-sighted, Virgil. I think Saul takes a second to like collect himself, probably a drink, or orders a drink from Ellis or Elias.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important not to let emotion overtake you in these situations. No, Virgil, I understand that Laz Lucky saw somebody that needed investigating. I have full empathy. I understand that that person needed to potentially no longer exist. Fine with that too. In the future, I would ask for potentially we evaluate solutions where we do that outside of the center of fucking town. That's all. It makes it so much more easy for me to then talk to the sheriff and say, hey, it wasn't us.
Hey, look at me. Do you think I signed up for that shit? Do you think that that was not my first inclination to be outside the damn city? Absolutely.
This is the anger I was talking about. We got to bring that down. Simple truth is this. You've got the military that I do not want to see. You've got a star. Whether or not it's legit, that's depending on who you ask.
Hey.
All head in all direction, building by building, looking for us. Now, I've been in enough of these towns to know that a fair trial is probably not on the agenda.
So I fucking almost died.
Again?
Yeah, again. It doesn't get better, buddy. I'm gonna be honest between you and me. It don't get better. It just gets fucking worse.
That could be the tagline of so many of our conversations. It is indeed the situation we are in. Yes. What I'm trying to say, Virgil, is potentially we can eliminate the outside threat, but I can't do that in town now. So if you're good enough to ride, what we need to figure out is where we're going to go figure out, pick off the threat.
All right. Well, we
is it the church or is it the claim?
Well, we
could go leaning claim.
I was also thinking we could head to the claim and we could set up. Dusty's got some, apparently got some sort of connections over there near the claim, right? Kind of looks over at Dusty.
Well, I have a couple of names. I wouldn't say they're quite connections yet, but
that Lager lady, I remember her. Yes.
Yes.
I'm sure we can try to leverage those names.
we set ourselves up there in the claim. They are obviously going to come for the claim because that's what they, between the railroad and all that, they're going to come for that. And when they do, we will be able to face them full on. Maybe he kind of looks down at himself, all patched up and fucked up, and like just bits of his. He's molting to a level that he hasn't molted in years. He's like, yeah, fuck, we're gonna figure this shit out one way or another. It's gonna be all right. I ain't doing that kind of stuff again. Nope. I was dumb. I made a couple of dumb decisions out there, so I did. Not gonna lie to you. Not gonna do that again.
Now, Virgil, we're not going to hear that negative self-talk.
Still look better than I do.
The only way I get through life
is right. So we're in solution mode. That's fine. That's fine. First and foremost, I am now out of money. We will need to rectify that in order for us to finish the rest of the solutioning. First, you two, I'm been pointing you and Lucky, are going to need to ride out of here for the claim soon, and in a way that is semi-visible.
Okay, hold on, wait. Each of us took, if I remember correctly, each of us took a significant amount of that platinum.
Oh, it's all back at the. We only took like 100 and some gold or whatever. I bought something for us. I can't remember what it was.
I believe what Saul's trying to say is he's been spending a lot of time with Primrose.
No, that's free. That's
we got 10 platinum each, which would have been like what 100.
Oh no, mine was the horses. Because I used
you
mine
spent
for
it
the
all
horses.
on the horses.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's why you're poor. Got it. Okay,
I got us in with the local tribe.
Because Virgil's over here being like, how the hell you spend that much platinum in a short period of time, son?
But I got to double check my notes because I'm pretty sure we left some of the. I left some of the platinum.
We left a bulk of it back at our stuff.
Most of it is still buried, I think.
Yeah, I think we only took like 2 or 3 each. It wasn't much because it was a couple hundred gold. But buying the bar off just tapped me out. So when I say that, I'm more like, well, we're gonna need supplies because we're not coming back for a couple weeks, gentlemen. And it feels like we might go into a claim.
Yep.
I know that Saul is familiar with claims that are more like ruin-esque. Like I don't know if we know how common that is, or if like sometimes it's just like shit on the ground.
Yeah, so what tends to happen kind of all over the Caldera is somebody finds their way, usually accidentally, into a portion of a building that's underground. Either a part of a building that was initially underground or part of a building that ended up that way whenever the Great Calamity happened. Because again, like things were like magically splinched is the word that they use in Harry Potter, but basically you just kind of like meld certain slices of places into the ground and scattered all over the Caldera Territory. So usually what happens is somebody ends up finding a portion of a building that they didn't know was there, and then the claim starts and exploration begins to see how much of the building is still intact and how much magic it still might have present in it. So fairly common.
Well, Saul did not pass that, so I give myself an intelligence check on that. I was going to ask a question, but we're not going to do that. Instead, got it. So, yeah, I suspect we're going to be going claim diving. So, Dusty, Elias, we'll need supplies. We'll need listing off the things, shit to go tomb raiding, essentially. Fact is, I think Saul will say that. Yeah, it's to go tomb raiding, because that's what it is. That's what we're doing. So, why don't you all make that happen while we get Virgil ready to ride? And I think the two of you are the most innocuous in this situation. Perhaps, Dusty, you and Elias ought to leave town after you get supplies to go prospecting. And then
I
just meet
think
us at
that's
the
not a
claim.
bad idea.
I think that we could do that. I also won a significant amount from a gentleman out front. I don't think he'll be a significant source of income anymore, but I do have some coin on me.
See if we can get enough supplies for the two of you to ride. See if the doctor has any more of that cure-all he was swinging. In a pinch, it seemed to. Well,
Virgil will hand you about 100 gold worth.
nice. And
between
then
the two of you.
I would armor up if you guys have any weapons that need that kind of thing. I've had less than pleasant experience in these tombs before. I'm not so worried about the encounters we might have beforehand. But if I have my way, I think we should meet them on our own ground, maybe in there, in the tomb. So yeah, let's do this. And with that, I think just above table, so I've got invisibility that I can cast still for two of us to ride out with you, or for us to, that way we can send three, but you can look solo when we go, and then the other two go off. And we should all meet back up, somewhere on the road back towards the claim.
Okay, so it sounds like
I guess
Go ahead.
Dusty's gonna go shopping then, and I mean, I've got 300. Well, I've got 419 gold on me now. With the
Yeah,
stuff
so
that
plenty.
Virgil added, so I'll spend
Yeah.
whatever I have to get whatever adventuring gear we need, as well as see if the doctor's got any quote unquote health potions or cure all or anything like that.
Yeah, roll me a d4 minus 1. We'll find out.
Is that the big one with 20 numbers on it?
It's close. You're about a fifth of the way, right?
Got a 3, so 2.
2. All right. So we had 2 more potions of healing, and those are 50 question mark. All right. Healing potion of healing. Yeah, 50 apiece.
All right, got it.
Okay. The rest of the stuff is easy enough to find. Things like rope and grappling hooks and things like that. If you're in the market.
Yeah, whatever Saul listed off is what Dusty's gonna get.
Okay.
I'm the wizard, Saul. You're gonna get comfy clothes, pillows.
The list of spell components is as long
Some
as your
spell components, yeah.
4 arm. Like Eye of Newt? What? How am I supposed to get a hold of that?
Dusty's like, I know where to get that for free. It's just chasing a newt around outside.
Okay, awesome. Let's see.
I guess Saul will also write a quick letter to the sheriff, or for the sheriff, and one for Primrose. Primrose one's the standard, like, oh, the fates keep us apart, my dear, blah 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 blah.
Spritz with some perfume.
Saul's done this. Saul's done this one 100 times. Like, okay, there's that. Fold that up, slide that back in there, and then
he has a form letter that he carries with him.
To the sheriff, it's more. The sheriff it's apologetic almost. It's like,
okay,
because I remember that she wasn't like he's fucking done or any of that stuff. Like she was annoyed with the other group in town also, right? So I think the best thing I can put on there is, and I'll work with Virgil and Laz and Lucky to make sure I don't put anything they don't want in there, but like, essentially something to the effect that along with the new interest in the town's resources, it seems that some personal business has caught up to some of my acquaintances and I. We feel it's best to remove it from your town, and as such, we're going to go to the source of everyone's ire, anyways. And well, you're smart enough to figure that out. We'll hopefully see them and not you soon. Regards, Saul. Little perfume. On that one too.
Did you just say I'm going to write a letter to the sheriff letting her know that we're about to go murder a bunch of people that we have a problem with and we hope we don't see her later?
Essentially, I wrote the sheriff a letter that says, I wrote the sheriff a letter that says, this problem could have been in your town. It is not in your town. Outside of your town, it should not be your problem. Should you wish this problem to leave your town, this is where we will be at. Use that knowledge accordingly. As such, we shall determine whether or not the sheriff's loyalties lie with her town, her sacred vows, or her own interests and power. And all we know is we kill anybody who comes into the claim.
All right. Dusty.
But I did say we are here.
Right, you did say we're at the claim, by the way. I did think I caught that in the letter.
Hugs and kisses. So
XOXOXO. Dusty, while you are at the general store, kind of gathering up supplies, you hear like the slow footfalls of someone heavy, coming just outside the door to the store, and very quickly the people who are inside the store kind of grow quiet, and make their way kind of towards the exterior walls, or the tall shelves where they can somewhat be hidden or innocuous. The dark, large shape kind of falls across the threshold of the general store, and you hear the little bell that the shopkeeper has hung on a spring just inside the door, so that when the door opens, it ding-ling-ling notifies that someone has come in. And those heavy footfalls enter the store, and you watch as the shopkeeper, who has been helping you with congeniality and friendliness, and he kind of looks up, and you see this kind of drain of color in his face, and you can audibly hear his swallow. Yes, sir. How can I help you? And you turn to find a rather imposing turtle. His head is kind of hidden in the dark recesses of his shell, but it almost looks like a hood. He steps forward. His eyes are so sunken in that it's hard to make out more than just their beadiness that kind of seems to kind of stare at you for long enough to make you uncomfortable. Decorating this figure's shell is a number of ornaments pinned, nailed right into his shell. You see the kinds of things that a lot of people would carry here in the Caldera Territories. Things of feathers that they may have traded with or killed from Dorathians. You see emblems on his the shoulders above his, or the shell above his shoulders that indicate his rank within the Integrated Realms army, as well as a sheriff's badge pinned to the front. You also see a number of disturbing things that have been nailed to his shell. Many, like, desiccated hands. And at least 2 of these appendages look to be rabbit, but large. And the fur on them looks to be the same color as Lucky's. The shopkeeper asks in his trepidation if he can help this turtle. The turtle kind of comes to a stop about 2 paces behind you, and you can hear the boards underneath his weight just kind of creaking. And he answers and he says, "I'm looking for a rabbit. One with a particular set of legs. Leaves very distinct tracks. Legs got metal on them. You seen a rabbit like that?" The shopkeeper kind of audibly, no, I don't believe I have seen a rabbit with metal legs. You hear this turtle take another step forwards, closing the distance behind you, Dusty. You can see the shadow that he cast from his tall shell kind of falling over you and the counter in front of you. "And what about you, pup? You seen a rabbit with metal legs?"
I think at this point, even though Dusty's in front of this turtle, he had picked something up off the counter, like a carved wooden figurine. And he was kind of fiddling with it, playing with it a little bit, like trying to blend in a way and not be noticed and not be asked a question. And about the time he asks about a rabbit, you just hear this audible snap of wood, and Dusty has broken off a piece of this figurine, and he kind of clumsily puts it back on the counter. And then the question is posed to him, and to steady himself and to steady his hands, he reaches in a pocket before he turns around and pulls a cigar and lights a cigar and puts it in his mouth and pulls a cigarette and offers it to the turtle himself. Takes and just holds it there for a second to wait to see if he takes it.
He reaches up and grabs the cigarette from your hand. He's slow to move. Like, the movements that he makes are deliberate. So he moves his hand up, takes the cigarette, and grabs a hold of it. and you can feel for just a moment like his hand comes into contact with yours, and it's cold and scaly, and there's an aura of death around this individual, not unlike the aura that you sometimes get a hint at from Virgil. And he takes this cigarette from you. Much obliged. And he puts it up kind of between the beak of his face. He takes a match, seemingly from almost nowhere, strikes it like on his own chest, and then pulls it up to this cigarette to light it before he starts taking puffs. But you didn't answer my question. Have you seen a rabbit with metal legs?
Well, it seems to me like you've already found a rabbit. You want a pair of matching legs to go with those? And he just kind of points at with the cigar. He kind of points at the pieces hanging from his shell already.
As a matter of fact, that's exactly what I had in mind. You see, my collection is incomplete. Rabbits, they got 4 feet. I've only got 2. I'm looking to increase my luck.
I think at this point, Elias is going to come around the corner and...
Perfect.
Dusty, you finished your shopping yet?
Well, I believe I was just finishing up. I believe Mr. Shopkeep here is gathering everything for us now.
Sounds good. We got to hit the trail before it gets too late and gets too cold.
I do agree. I must not be rude though. This kind of looks the turtle up and down. Gentleman did ask me a question. I would like to pose a question to you, sir. I am someone who is a appreciator of luck myself. Don't suppose there'd be any luck in telling you if I have or haven't seen this rabbit?
I see. You think a quick tongue might save you. Well, I got plenty of room on my shelf for that too, if it need be.
Actually, I was thinking a quick tongue might pay me, but if my life is on the line, that might be payment enough.
You saying you got information?
I think if you're
for
threatening my
sale?
friend here, sir, you might want to step back a little bit and rethink your position in this town.
There's like a thud as he like takes like a half step back and like turns again very slowly to kind of regard you, Elias, by the door. And who might you be?
Elias Stock, at your service.
Elias Stock. I never heard of you, Elias Stock.
Well, I ain't never heard of you either. Why don't you give us your name as well?
My name is Trophy Mulgrath. Captain Trophy Mulgrath, that is.
That's interesting. Seems like you're new to town. If you want to have a conversation, we could go back over to the saloon and have a drink. But if you're going to be threatening my friends, you need to get back on your horse or on, well, you might want to get on your sled and head out of town.
No, I think maybe I'll be staying a while. You see,
Well, that's fine. Just don't be threatening the locals and don't be threatening my friends.
well, it seems as though we've got a couple of killers in town. You see,
Oh,
I
I
have
heard that there were
friends.
some outsiders that started some shit.
Indeed. Ended
And
up with
see,
3 of my
that
friends.
in my mind makes them the killers or wannabe killers, as it were. And perhaps they should talk to the sheriff, or their friends should talk to the sheriff. But us folks around here, we kind of keep to ourselves and don't really take guff from nobody. So if someone's
Todd.
coming in and starting trouble, they may have been shot up. They also might have deserved it.
Todd, please roll a persuasion or intimidation, your choice.
All right, hold on. Let's see. Persuasion. Well, shit, I got zeros in both of those.
Oh no, okay.
So let's see. What does the roll say?
So it's either a nat 1 or a nat 20.
Oh, it's a nat 1.
Oh no. Okay.
And that was for intimidation, a nat 1.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So I think like Elias, you're giving this this guy what's good, and I think somebody nearby like accidentally knocks a glass container of like, I don't know, gumballs or something off the counter, and it just like shatters and like scatters across the floor very noisily. It like completely shatters the moment that you had built like for this guy. He just kind of like slowly watches these like roll. One of them kind of like rolls and stops like right against like his taloned foot.
Perfect.
Well, I suppose I might just continue my search elsewhere, but if anything comes to mind about that rabbit, he kind of looks back at you, Dusty. Just why don't you find me and let me know?
I just might do that.
He turns and kind of slowly stomps his way back out, crushing 1 or 2 of the gumballs underneath his weight as he moves back out through the door, back out onto the street, kind of pushing past you, Elias. All right.
I think as Dusty and Elias are leaving the store once we have what we came here for, think Dusty looks at Elias and says, I had planned on sending him out towards the claim. I'm not entirely sure if that was the right decision to make. I was going to send him out there. I do believe, if everything's clear, he's looking for Lucky. And he might have been one of the ones we needed to lure out there to solve some problems, as Saul would say.
I think he'll be finding us pretty soon anyways. I just don't like it when they come into a store like this and start pressuring folk.
Oh, I fully agree. That is why I was considering sending him to his death. But maybe let him live a bit longer before we take care of him. I suppose you have everything that you were looking for.
Yeah, and I'll have stocked up on, jerky and various other dry goods. I know we got the healing spells or the potions. I'm gonna ask if they know where there might be any other magical items that could help with healing, or if we need to probably go back and talk to the Indians or the natives to get some.
Yeah, so yeah, you would know, and they would definitely reaffirm if you asked. But like magic items are very, very, very closely regulated. There's not a lot of like unclaimed magic items that are for sale in the open market, at least. Because technically, anything that is magical is supposed to go back east to be studied, and anything barring that, you have to have like a license to actually carry it. And if you're found without a license, then technically, your ass is grass. So there's definitely not any shops that keep that kind of stuff laying out on the shelves. All right. So when you get your supplies and you kind of leave the general store, are you headed back to check in at the saloon before you head out of town, or are you headed straight out of town?
I guess that depends on if everyone else has left yet.
Yeah, I think if it's just Dusty and I gonna take off first, then we'll get the horses and slowly head out. But I want to make not necessarily full contact with the group, but at least visual that, we're going to be heading.
Yeah, I think at a certain point, as I imagine this is a pretty small town, right? In terms of like from the saloon, I could potentially, like from the general store, I could potentially see someone from the saloon at a corner angle kind of deal.
So this is definitely like a one main street kind of town. Like the big buildings, like the general store, the saloon, the jailhouse,
all on that one main strip,
all on the same main road. In total, in town, there's probably a dozen buildings, maybe two. And the rest are like tents and houses and things like that. They kind of like spread out from there.
All right, so I think I'm probably mounting on a horse ahead of knowing that they're gonna get the supplies, knowing that we're all good. Like Virgil definitely needs like a rest, a time to actually sleep. But he knows that it's not for the best right now to do so. So he will he'll hop on horse and then wait for Soul and Lucky. And I imagine that are we heading straight to the claim, or are we going to our hideout first and then going back, or how do you guys want to arrange that?
I was thinking that we needed to head in opposite directions. So maybe if there's a group of us that wants to go to the hideout, if we need to, or appear as if we're going that direction, I'm thinking that we probably leave in town in opposite directions.
Is there anything we need at the hideout?
No.
Right. So I my thought was, why take them back to the place that has our money and other stuff?
Oh, yep. No, that's a good.
Exactly. I wouldn't go back up there.
My thought was
evidence of.
My thought was the three of us, I was gonna do invisibility at one point, but I don't think that Saul just wrote a letter to the sheriff saying where we were going. I think the only thing that Saul might want to do is not be super visible right now, but the other two, like Lucky, you've already just said you have history with this group, right? And
Yeah.
Virgil, you have DNA evidence all over this group.
I have I have history with everything, so might as well just
So
people know me. They ain't gonna stop knowing me. So
I think Saul is gonna probably, because I'm small, creature size. If I can ride on the back of Virgil back there, just piled up in blankets.
oh
and
heck yeah.
like how like I like to ride anyways.
Yeah.
That way I can keep the spell slots, and if we need it before we meet back up, I can do some cover for us if we have to. But then I'm thinking we take off very visibly, but like ride towards the claim, I guess, but try to avoid the loggers camp. Whereas
Okay.
they should be going through the loggers camp to get to the claim.
Gotcha.
Right.
So we're going to the claim, but we're going in two separate we're going into two separate squares. Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
Well,
know.
and just stay away. What you're saying is that when we go, we don't go towards the loggers camp, since that's where the official, well, the railroad people will be going.
Right. I'm saying we avoid the loggers camp because if I'm not mistaken, they have the actual claim and we are not paying them at this time.
Right.
Sorry, there's no like the reason I was splitting us off to begin with is because I wasn't sure if we were going to get out of town together, but at this point, like, fuck it, if we all leave, we all leave. It's just that the guy knows there's 5 of us versus 3, or we split up like we said and come back in. I think, I don't want to overthink it, but I think we're heading to the claim.
I think we do split up for the simple fact that I mean we're all going to meet at the claim obviously, and I think that Elias and I are whichever direction we head out of town, we know that we're turning at some point to head towards the claim. But I think we do split up. In my mind, I think we should split up just to if any of this group that's looking for Lucky is watching, they might think there's fewer people.
Yeah.
Where they're headed.
Yeah, they only really saw Virgil and I from the get. If there's any eyewitnesses or anything from the shootout in the street, so they know him and I are already connected. So we can, very visually leave town, and Soul can ride along, like he said, tucked in. So they just see 2 people leaving, and then you guys catch up with us later.
Above table and metagame a little bit, but I don't know whether or not Virgil would, or if Soul would want to cast invisibility on Lucky, or if Lucky wants to.
Yeah, I think it's up to Lucky. If Lucky wants it, I would do it. I mean, Lucky's the one who doesn't want to be seen on this, but at the same time, like, also wants to kill this dude. So I don't know, but Lucky seems like a poor innocent child. It's just a poor innocent child trapped by his upbringing to want to kill this guy.
His circumstances have dictated.
Thank you.
I'm just a simple Fennec Fox lawyer. My client. Product of torture and abuse.
I guess that depends on how much we want to hide the fact that we're leaving. It would require me to still ride a horse. Pretty much.
Well, we also need them to follow us to the claim at some
Yeah.
point for some reason.
Yeah, I guess my only question is, if he's blatantly looking for Lucky, does Lucky want to be seen? I don't think that we as a group should necessarily hide us leaving. It's more of just like whether Lucky gets seen leaving and they immediately start chasing or not.
I mean, I would leave if I was seen in like full armor So maybe they don't know I'm a rabbit with metal legs to report me
Cool.
unless they knew otherwise
Yep.
beforehand. And then otherwise, yeah, not have to be quiet. But it just looked like two of us are leaving, and then the other two, even though there's three of us leaving,
Yep.
and have the other two catch up, and
Cool.
then we'll all be together. So they just think I have one, one person with me.
Okay.
Who already got beat up pretty bad in the last fight, so well, as far as I know.
Yeah, the dream is that they don't chase you right away, right? And that we get a long rest in so that you guys are alive again. Yeah, but we'll see. That's a dream, I think.
Pipe dream.
Pipe dream.
All right. So we see Dusty and Elias ride out, maybe from one end of town, heading off kind of, into the wilderness. Again, as the snow is coming down all around, and most people are decommissioning wagons and things of that nature because it's obvious that they're not planning on going anywhere for a while. This is definitely a choice that is against the grain, if you will. And then a short time later, we see two other horses, one bundled up in the back behind Virgil, exit the other end of town and ride out. And I think that that's when we see, like, as we watch the other two horses kind of riding out of town with Virgil and with Lucky, we kind of stay back in town and watch them kind of get smaller and smaller on the road. And then in frame, we see a dark shape kind of step halfway into our view, just kind of watching these two ride out of town. And I think that's where we're going to take our break. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, go to the bathroom, refill your drink, get your spouse, smoke them if you got them, etc., etc. And then we will come back for the second part of Session 6 of Thunder Ridge, Winter Deems, A Shallow Grave. The Titan. We'll be right back. everyone, and welcome back from the break. This is session 6 of Thunder Ridge, titled Winter Deems a Shallow Grave. We are leaving the town of Thunder Ridge behind us, at least for the time being. The question is whether or not the town is going to be leaving us entirely. The posse has struck out in the coming winter to the nearby recently established claim. Now, your group knows that this claim is situated not far, probably again about three or 4 hour ride from the actual town itself, and is located somewhat into the land that is currently owned by the logging company, in particular the Deadfall Timber Company. And there is some negotiations that are happening about the ownership of the particular parcel of land that the claim itself lies on. That Wellington Rails is also apparently interested in purchasing this claim, sight unseen almost. So you kind of head deeper into the kind of the valley, further around the mountain, if you will, heading towards the logging company's lands. Maybe not their camp, but at least their lands. Is there anything that you plan on doing before you arrive in the area of the claim? Anything that you want to discuss, or any plans that you're going to put into motion before you reach that point?
I'm sure Laz has a further conversation that someone would have drawn out of him. That he would explain that he used to serve under this turtle, and one time he saw something he wasn't supposed to see, so this turtle took an eye. One time he heard something he wasn't supposed to hear, so he took an ear. One time he touched something he wasn't supposed to touch, and he took his hand. Then he got locked up after that because it was too many times, and then he escaped, and that's why he lost the leg. But he got out again, and now here he is. And he must not like that I got away. I was hoping to have looked dead in my last escape, but somehow he's got onto my trail, and I couldn't let that henchman get back to him and give him the element of surprise. So that's why I went down in the street, and now here he is anyways. So that would have come out. And the thing he wasn't supposed to touch is now strapped to his chest.
So I imagine Virgil and Lucky were riding together. And maybe you're telling this to Soul, who is on the back of my horse, like staring at you as I'm riding ahead. He's like staring at you and like listening to the conversation. And I'm listening. And I look over and go, well, I'm glad we found you then. Sounds like a hell of a raw deal for you, kid.
I guess that's why they call me Lucky.
Yep. Well, let's keep it that way, huh?
So far, so good.
And I imagine that he won't look at Saul because he wants nothing to do with like drawing attention to the fact that like Saul is covered up in the blankets, but he'll basically like haunch his head down toward the horse, but just like talk to the horse, but to Saul. So When we get to the claim, what is plan of action, little man? What would we like to do?
Well, in my opinion, it's easier to defend from within. So if we can make our way into the claim, should we be so lucky as to find an entrance or cabin or whatnot to defend, and then we rest, see what comes sniffing around. Nothing pops up, we move inward. Town is a wash for us for a while, so instead of freezing in the mission, I'd much rather get in there first and see if there's anything worth taking.
All right. Very well.
Perhaps we could even make it look like that's what we did, and then wait for them to go in and come in behind them.
Interesting level of deception. If afforded the time, something I think we should do.
All right, then. You see that, like, Virgil is, while he is used to being a leader, he is broken right now on both like an emotional level because of all the stuff that happened with the native tribes, on an emotional level because of everything that happened between him and Soul and him and Elias, and then him basically dying and then coming back to life. And then, yeah, now he's dragging his corpse of a body down into this claim, which may or may not be a death trap for the whole party if things go wrong. So
That's a great point, Virgil.
yeah, no.
When you were that close to death's door, if you will,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
how tight did the noose around your neck feel?
Oh, I can still feel it. It's loose now. It's looser. But it's almost like you can, and in a certain way, I think that like when he turns his head to like talk to you, Lucky, or when he turns his head to talk to you, Soul, occasionally you will see like, because it manifested in the spirit realm in the way that it did, I think it also manifests in a way here physically. And as you see him turn his head, his neck, around his neck, the feathers around his neck specifically, there is a molting line where a noose would be, where like feathers are now starting to like molt and tear at the space where the neckline would, like the noose would be aligned if it were actually physically on him, but is carrying the weight of this grief and this pain and this planned, like, he knows that death is imminent for people. That is his job. That is what he is. He is an undertaker. By bar and none, he is an undertaker. He is a criminal, but he is an undertaker. That is his job to do so. But he realizes the weight of that responsibility and the grief that comes with what the day that actually comes. So yeah, it definitely weighs on him, and you can see that in his demeanor and his physicality right now.
There's I think maybe even like a time or two when you ride beneath the boughs of an old deciduous tree, something with its branches kind of spread out far and wide, no leaves currently. But I think there may even be a few times where like you pass underneath a branch and you swear that you feel like the heels of somebody like bounce off your shoulder or like you're almost just about to ride into somebody dangling from the branch that's kind of drooping over the trail before you realize that there's nothing there at all.
Yeah, he's definitely seeing ghosts in the trails. Yeah, for sure.
And you also have the skull, don't you?
Yes, indeed, I do. But for obfuscating reasons, he will have put it in the saddlebag for now. Nothing
Okay.
says conspicuous like a skull riding out of town. That, yeah, like that would
Fair
be
enough.
an absolute exclamation point on our end. So it's in the bag until I otherwise say I need it.
Okay. So it sounds like unattuned is what we're going with.
Yeah. I mean, well, no, he's attuned to it at all times. He just doesn't have it on him right now, right? Like
Maybe.
it's on the
Let me see
right. Is
here.
that correct? Isn't that how?
Skull requires attunement. Once a creature attunes to this item, it follows them, levitating at head height. While
Okay.
attuned, the bearer of the skull gains advantage on initiative rolls. In addition, the bearer of the skull may cast the blink spell once per long rest. So, yeah, I
Does
mean,
it have to hover above me, or can I put it in a place for? Well, I guess also it's visible to other people, right? It
Oh,
is
yeah.
visible to other people.
yeah, 100%.
No, it's a weird, creepy thing. We've established that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, but I don't necessarily want to tie a little, I don't want to tie a string to it and have it be like a haunting freaking
I think
It
if
has
I'm
no
not
problem
mistaken,
following you.
I think you made it as a balloon the last time, essentially.
Yeah, I did. And then I regretted that choice immediately. I realized, oh no, that sounds like a horrible plan. What was I thinking? And I used that spell though during the fight, so it actually did help me. It did help.
So yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna stick to my guns on this one. I think like an
I have to keep it out.
Ioun stone or what have
Yeah.
you. You know,
All
like
right.
if you want it to
No.
work, like
I gotta keep it out.
you gotta
Okay.
have
Yeah.
that creepy floating head
Alright.
next to you.
I'll tell
Live
you
loud.
what though. Is there a way that I can keep it like hovering next to me? Like, how do I put this? I don't necessarily want it hovering above me like a death halo. Like I don't.
No, it's as if like a human male were like walking behind you, like just like a half step behind you.
I mean, that's not.
It's just the only part of this person you can see is just their skull in the same place where their head would be.
All right. Well,
Their hat on it.
I
It
mean,
has
yeah.
feathers. Yeah.
Yeah. No, look, at this point, if people are gonna stop me, people are gonna stop me. So
All right, I just want to know.
No, that's fine.
If you're
Something
riding around
draws
with your
attention.
fly down or not. So
Draws attention away from the neck. Instead of
Away from the
consolation.
neck. Look at my skull. Doesn't it draw attention away from my hanging?
Yeah.
okay.
I think I want to play into Dusty's wanderer ability. Whatever
Okay.
that word is. Basically it just says you have an excellent memory for maps and geography, and you can always recall the general layout of terrain, settlements, and other features around you. In addition, you can find food and fresh water for yourself and up to 5 people each day, provide that the land offers berries, small game, water, and so forth. I think just to kind of play into that, I think on the way to the claim, I guess Todd can decide if Elias follows him, but I think Dusty, if he feels that he has time or doesn't see anybody coming after us, I think he's gonna try to like maybe ride around the claim a bit and see if he can get the lay of the land, and just kind of fix that in his mind just in case, well, with the probability of things going south in mind. That way he knows if we have escape routes or anything like that.
Okay. So yeah, like to ride the perimeter would probably take a good deal of time. For one, this terrain is not super forgiving for like continuous travel, but also given the weather and the size of the land itself, you probably don't have a lot of time to do that. However, I would say that you could probably like head to like a nearby like ridge that you could actually like look down on a lot of that land and kind of survey from there, if you will.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay. Yes, you kind of like strike out for high ground, trying to get up to a place that's steep and rocky enough that the tree cover kind of like dies down, or maybe even a portion of the claim that's been cleared enough that it kind of gives you a decent distance that you can kind of see down. So yeah, you see kind of the river like far down below. You can tell even from this height that it is still moving, though the land around it would probably wish it otherwise. You can see a few smoke stacks kind of here and there gathered around from people's chimneys or campfires or what have you. And you can see that there is a large swath of land that's kind of been cleared. You see nothing but tree stumps kind of on that face of the mountain, and not that far kind of from the edge of where that place is cleared, you can see what looks like a decent sized encampment. Looks like tents have been raised. Maybe some temporary buildings are kind of like going up currently. And you can kind of see the edge of what looks like ruined buildings, partial walls, things of that nature. And I would say that that these are likely that this is likely where the claim starts. That whatever entrance they found is probably somewhere amongst these ruined buildings. They look like ancient Dorathian buildings to you, even from here.
All right. I think that's all. I think that's all the big preparations Dusty's doing. I think that at some point while we're on the road towards this destination, maybe he's pulled a whetstone out of a saddlebag and kind of made sure his knives were ready to go. But other than that, I think that's all my preparations.
So is it? It's looking like to get to the claim itself, we'll have to stealth in, because you said that there's smoke and whatnot coming from some of these tents.
Yeah, I mean it's obvious that like this is not an unguarded place. Now
Fair.
How heavily guarded, it's hard to tell. There's definitely a handful of people around. Their level of competence may or may not be detrimental.
Dusty, this is our first time out here. How far away from the mission are we? I'm not good at directions.
I do believe we are about as far as some benevolent voice might tell us right about now.
So I
Time to
imagine
prey on it.
you're probably about 2 hours from your hideout. The way I was kind of picturing was like, if you were to draw a straight line between the claim and the town, then your base would basically form a very shallow triangle between the two.
So, okay. Saul is with his Saul's background doing this work before, right? For a little while. For the railroad. how likely is it? Fuck it. We'll just go into. I think we should just like stealth our way into town. So I was kind of wondering if we could, if the mission itself is an entrance to the claim, like if there's multiple entrances to the claim, but like we can't figure out the way into that thing anyways. So fuck it. No need to go to the back door. Let's
Not currently, but you just wait.
you might be a nice exit. So yeah, was Dusty able to scope out like any number of people, signs of life, or is it just generally we're too far away?
Well, let's get a perception roll, Dusty. You can have advantage. We are rolling the dice.
Rolling the dice.
My goodness. What is this, a
Right.
game? You say 3?
Unfortunately, fortunately, no, I did not say 3.
Okay.
Perception, it's 12.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get a read, especially with it being this cold out. There's not a lot of people that are spending like large amounts of time outside of whatever structures that they've already kind of put together or built for this little camp. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Raggy. There we go.
And we're back.
So, your guess would be that you've seen maybe half a dozen people coming and going.
I think Dusty would relay that to Saul, but definitely let him know that like this is a maybe not educated guess.
Well, I'm fresh out of ideas, fellas. I really don't want to kill the claim owners. It just feels wrong.
Well, we may have limited choices here. We may be able to run them off the claim for a short time, or we may have to do our business before the other party gets to the claim.
Do our business. I like that. I like do our business, but in a different manner. Well, at some point we'll have to remember how much money we have left, but perhaps we go negotiate for the claim. And if our friends happen to come try to jump the claim while we're there, well, see what happens.
Not a bad idea.
Dusty, you familiar with these people? Onward. Hopefully someone remembers how much money we actually have. Yeah, just promise whatever you want. We'll figure it out.
Are these the people that because the logging people that I met, I think I met in town.
You
so
definitely
I
did.
believe if this is part of the same group, it may be a different set of them. I don't know if anybody I would recognize would be here.
Yeah.
You may remember their names though. Like what was her name? Wasn't there like a dwarven forestry chick that you got all friendly with drinking coffee?
Yeah, that's right.
You and your cafe latte.
Was indeed. As for her name, I'd be hard pressed to remember that one.
I am
Give
looking.
me a minute.
Just trying to see if I can't find it.
There's an elf foreman, was female dwarf named Dornell. Strong coffee.
Oh, Darnell. Yeah, Darnell Vosgun.
Darnell, yeah.
Listen.
So
Darnell
drop the name.
Vosgun. Good job, man.
Well, thank me. Thank you, internet, or like storage apps.
Taking notes. That's good. I think we had 4,000 platinum, and we took a. I don't know if it was 4,000 platinum.
Yeah, it's an ungodly amount of money.
No, it was
It might have been like 500 platinum, maybe.
I was going to say
it might have been 500 platinum.
Or
I might be
platinum.
thinking 4,000 gold in total, right?
That's probably
That
more on
sounds
par.
right.
So that's like 400 platinum, and then we took 100 and divided it up with like 10 platinum per each person.
I believe so.
Better.
Yeah, I think it was like 400 platinum.
So yeah, we had 400 platinum, so that means 300 platinum is left at the claim, or left at our mission.
Yeah.
In the burial site. Yeah.
I'm looking at the hard number here because I've got it on. I think it's episode 1, session 1.
If I remember correctly, there should be 400 platinum. We took 100, divided it like amongst us 10 platinum each, which would have been 100 gold additional each to each of us. Right? Or 1,000 gold. I forget how much a platinum
it's 100.
is.
One platinum is 10 gold.
One
Correct.
platinum is 10 gold. Okay. So 10 platinum.
Okay. So the lockbox had 500 platinum.
Yes.
Which is the equivalent of 5,000 dragons or 5,000 gold.
Okay. So we took only 1,000. We took 1,000 gold worth out, divided amongst the 5 of us.
I don't think we took that much, though, to be honest with you.
I think each of you had 10.
Had 10. Yeah.
10 gold.
Yeah. So 10 platinum.
Or 10
plat. It would be 50 platinum. So 500 gold.
So 500 gold across the board for each person. Or no, across the group. 500 gold.
For the posse. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the rest is left at the claim right now.
So we have what, 3,500 dragons worth of
that
plat
would be
left?
35.
Yeah, 4,500. Yeah, there were 500. There were 5,000 gold.
Oh, yeah.
To start with.
So 4,500 worth of gold left.
Correct. So yeah, no shortage of coin. Although I'm trying to remember, you took some of it to the Dorathians as well?
We took all of our platinum to the Dorathians to get it converted to gold.
Okay, there you go.
And then I used mine to buy the horses so that we would have horses instead of gold. Which I'm imagining we're using the horses now, so winning.
Oh yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think we negotiate as high as up to 4,500 if we can, and if we can get the claim, then it's just us defending our claim against these guys. So Dusty, it's time for you to play poker for our claim.
Oh, I'm sure I'll be doing that once we own it.
Yeah. Wait a minute. No. No.
Dusty's like collateral.
So I think we look for the tent that looks like a mess tent or whatever is the, like the base camp tent, whatever you want to call it.
Sure. Yeah, kind of the gathering place, if you will.
Show us the temple.
Yeah, I imagine like it might even be like a covered pavilion that's been like hastily kind of erected and has like the walls that used to be canvas tents, kind of like strung up to fortify it against the cold and the wind just a little bit, while they're kind of like building the walls inside of that. Okay. Dusty, Roll me a d20.
Okay, that's a 4.
A 4. Okay.
Oh, he said a d20. Oh shit. No.
Okay. Um. So you ride down towards the claim. Are you trying to stay hidden? Are you like sticking to the forested area, or are you riding through the cleared space? What's the approach?
I guess it depends on at what point we decide to potentially try to negotiate and buy the claim itself. Because I don't imagine if we decide we're gonna try to buy this thing or negotiate for it that we're gonna come riding up sneakily, or at least Dusty or whoever else is doing the negotiating wouldn't. So at whatever point Saul mentions negotiating, trying to buy the claim, Dusty would be open. At least Dusty would be open about riding towards this settlement.
Yep, I'm okay with that. I will gladly be intimidating vulture man to, bookend the negotiating tactics of our small Phoenix friend.
All right. So, as you kind of come down off of the high ground, kind of make your way towards the claim, you start to find yourself kind of in more forested area, and around you, you notice that there are a lot of ruined pieces of architecture. You see a few archways and things that are still standing. You see a few banisters that kind of peek out from the areas where the plant growth or the snow hasn't completely covered it at this point. You're definitely kind of in and amongst, again, these ancient ruins, these pieces of buildings that that's all of you have actually seen a version of completed whenever you took your vision quest, whenever you journeyed to the spirit realm for a brief time. You saw many different versions of like this style of architecture completed. So there's almost this kind of haunted feeling of a life that has been lived amongst these buildings, these stones, and now it is quiet, except for the voices of the people in the camp kind of ahead of you. As you continue to ride, the wind kind of picks up and howls through these ruins a little, and as it does so, Virgil, there's a familiar voice that comes to you on the wind. Virgil, you owe us. Do not forget.
You see his feathers noticeably bristle with every fiber as it goes down his spine as they pass through these ruins. You see him give like a very short glance back to Soul, and I imagine that wherever Elias is on whatever, as we're all kind of intersecting and becoming like the flying V like posse, of horses as we sort of kind of culminate. He'll look over to Elias too, and like that ringing in the back of his head, that voice is still constantly there, but he's trying to shrug it off and focus on what he needs to do, because he has been in and out of life and death far too much in the last few days. He would very much like to not think about that for a short period of time.
Suddenly, there is an explosion ahead, followed by a second, and then a third, the echoes of which reverberate all around you. And you can see kind of back behind you on the side of the mountain, an entire sheet of snow kind of breaks free and starts to slide. And you can hear it tumbling into the forest well beyond out of the reach of where you currently are. But unmistakably, that was the detonation of dynamite up ahead.
Can we tell if it was for what they're working on in the claim, or
Hard to tell. You heard a loud thud afterwards, and there is a lot of, shouting and cheering and things of that nature that seem to follow it.
I think that Dusty is going to turn and look to everyone else to gauge their reactions, but at the same time, he's going to be listening for any kinds of like screams of terror. If he hears any kind of screams or of terror or anything like that, he's going to instantly whip his horse into a gallop towards the town. If nothing like that reaches his ears, then he'll just kind of ride in at the same pace.
Okay. There are no such cries for distress, anything like that ahead of you, so maintain your pace and kind of ride into camp. You can see that it looks like they are blasting part of the mountain. It looks like what they're doing is excavating to try to maybe create a wider entrance, like a place where they can maybe build a ramp to get wagons and such in and out of the claim easier. Because you can see, as you're kind of like nearing the edge of the camp, that towards the center there is a let me find a picture of it. There is kind of a center that is almost like a. Have you ever seen like the entrance to like a wasp nest or like a bee's hive? The activity seems to kind of be concentrated around one particular ruin of a tower that's kind of in a hillside. Kind of sticking out like kind of a slightly strange angle. You can see that there's an arched doorway where there seems to be a lot of foot traffic kind of coming and going. Your guess is that this is likely the entrance that was discovered. A lot of the temporary buildings and stuff have been situated around this this little ruined tower base.
I guess let's go find one of the more public tents or buildings where some of the workers would be concentrated, so we can, or at least Dusty can start asking around.
Is there a way we can see like a tent or something that looks like it's a foreman or a leader's or a military ranky tent?
Yeah, like I said, you kind of found like a common tent, like a place like a mess hall type situation. But there's not really any of the other tents that look like they stand out as like better outfitted or larger in size necessarily.
I think then, yeah, let's go to the common tent, Dusty.
Okay.
All right. I will. Well, I guess we'll head to the common tent and start inquiring after what was it, Darnell?
Oh, let's see what we see when we get in there.
Okay. You you approach somebody, you know, in the camp kind of spots you riding in, and they kind of, you know, head off to that same location, that kind of larger tent, that little pavilion area, to try to apparently let somebody know that you were coming. And you know, there's a few people in camp that kind of watch your approach, but they don't try to intervene. They don't try to, you know, flex or stop you or anything of that nature. They just kind of watch you pass. There may be a few that eye the skull of Optun Kone floating behind Virgil with a weary eye. But yeah, you're basically allowed to ride up and hitch your horses directly outside the saloon, if you will, mess hall. Inside, you see a lot of the people that look similar, or maybe even a few of the same as the ones that you saw in town the last few days. There's a lot of people who are lumberers, you know, lumberjacks and tree fellers and things like that. You see a lot of like sawing equipment and axes and things of that nature. A lot of like heavy fur, clothing. A lot of very tough individuals. There's no doubt that this is a job that is not for the faint of heart or the weak of arm strength. And you also spot one individual in particular that you have met before. You see Dram, kind of an elder elf, who you were told is the foreman of the logging camp. He is kind of sitting at a table. Several people kind of like standing nearby him, asking him questions. He seems to be kind of like making decisions or answering questions while he's kind of taking his meal. We'll say evening meal. We'll say it's that late in the day.
And we saw Dram in town, right? Like,
yes, you've spoken to him.
Right. He was, yeah, we chatted with him about, was he going to go talk to the stagecoach, shit, what was his name?
Yes.
Henry Tuttle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was going to go talk to Henry Tuttle into Wellington.
So, yes, Henry Tuttle is kind of like
he's a representative for Wellington Railroad.
Correct.
Yeah, when I say that, yeah. So he was going to go chat with the Wellington Rail. And I can't remember, did he seem like he was all right with the railroad, or did he seem more annoyed with that?
He definitely
aspect?
Seemed to understand that it was going to bring with it a bunch of trouble. But he also seemed like he understood his role in things, that he's a company man.
Got it.
You know?
No, it makes sense. Yeah. So that is, his name is Dram again, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's known as Dram Shalom. Very elven.
Shamalam?
Shalthalon.
Shalthalam?
I
I will give him a solid elfin greeting as we walk in, as soon as I clock him on that, and mention something to the, like, you know, sorry to barge in, but, you know, needed a cup of coffee. Heard Dornell made a good cup. kind of a deal, and just walk in to start talking to him.
Okay. Yeah. Let me see something. Ooh, okay. Anybody who is there, who's kind of gone inside, can roll a history if they want.
It's a 19.
Okay. 17. All right.
17 for Dusty.
Damn. Okay.
We fucking read some books.
We know shit.
We're not some illegitimate.
That's a fourth, a
illiterate
third, 17.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Cowboys here. We a reading class sort of cowboy. We go to libraries.
Education is cool, kids.
We went to school.
We ride with Virgil. He is history.
I am the history.
There's a rich oral tradition in this land. That
Okay, so apparently most of you
Quit talking about Primrose.
may or may.
yeah, well, indeed.
You've been on the trail for 3 hours. Shut up. So yeah, most of you, you actually. I'm trying to think of a good reason why it would dawn on you now. Oh, okay, perfect. So he is Dram is sitting at this table, and he is actually he has a 6-shooter in one of his hands, and he's just kind of like nonchalantly, kind of like not even fully paying attention. He's doing like twirling tricks with like the trigger guard, and like, you know, passing it like over and behind his hand. It's very obvious that he's like comfortable and deft. Like even with his like old gnarled fingers, he has no problems like controlling like where this revolver is. And that's actually when it clicks for those of you that it does click for. That this is an individual that was once known as Sweet Dreams Shaw. He was a famous gunfighter. Sweet Dreams Shaw. So do with that as you might. But as you kind of enter and announce yourselves, you know, it's one of those moments where had there been a jukebox playing, that the record would have scratched. You hear like a single glass knock over, ting ting ting, you know, kind of thing. They all kind of look in your direction, and Dram says, we knew where they were coming. But question is, what is it exactly that you want? Well, we spoke in town, I remember, and I believe we understood where we stood with each other. Well, now you've come out to see the claim yourselves.
I would love to say that this was simply a sightseeing adventure, or even prospecting adventure. Dram, sometimes in life situations just don't allow for the best ways to communicate situations. How comfortable are you having open business conversation? All present company.
Kind of sits back in his chair. Well, there's words that are spoken in front of the entire business, entire company, but sometimes there are words that need to be spoken behind closed doors, I believe.
Well, I believe I have quite a sensitive matter to discuss, but I would in no way want to intrude upon the most upright business practices of this corporation.
Well, as the luck might have it, Deadfall has sent out the company man. He's down in the claim right now.
Was that the explosions we heard on the way in?
Well, that was a bit of business. We're trying to make a horse ramp. Try to see if we can't prepare for whatever haul may come up out of here.
Well, so tell me, Dram, is the business's intention to sell the claim or partner the claim?
There's a little bit of like murmuring amongst the people and kind of gathered in the room. He said, "Well, that I ain't at liberty to discuss.
Well, what?
Not my decision."
Well, the only man who can make that decision is down in the claim, is it, Dram?
Well, if the boss lady made that decision, then he'd be the one that carries her proxy. So he'd be the one to ask.
Well, boss lady, I assume, is not local, correct?
No, I don't believe she moves out west past Partridge's Push. Her money makes it out this far, though.
Excellent. Graham, can I have a private word?
He kind of sits up straight and kind of nods, and the rest of the loggers like get up and leave. They give him the room.
Graham,
It's clear that he commands a lot of respect from these other loggers.
That's an impressive feat. Graham, I'm gonna cut through all the shit. The railroad's already here, as you know. They're here in force. There's a town full of them. Probably no shorter of 5 to 10 of them running this way as it is. I asked about the explosion because you seemed like an intelligent and reasonable man, but using dynamite on a claim such as this might be one of the stupidest things I've ever fucking seen. And I've seen some stupid things. And I'm gonna go ahead and Saul's gonna go ahead and open up his shirt so that Dram can see the chunk of crystal embedded in my chest from the last time one of these went wrong. He's like, "No, I'm not trying to be insulted. I speak from personal experience." So happens to be that my associates and myself are in a unique line of work where we actually go in and research and delve the claims, either via a partnership with somebody who has rightful claim to it, or purchases it outright. I'm mighty partial to the opinion that I don't like the railroad any, and I've seen what they've done firsthand in these situations. But the truth of the matter is, Dram, is that 4 or 5 of them sons of bitches are riding up here right now. They've already tried to kill one of my associates today. Wave to Virgil. Hi, Virgil. And my only hope was to buy this place out so that you all don't get involved, and I can either take the heat and you can walk away with the money and not have to deal with the railroad, or I get killed and you get my money, and then you get to go ahead and tell the railroad, we ran you off.
Well, I suppose there's some reason and logic to all that, but again, it's not my decision. So now, if you want, you can talk to the company man and lay this all out for him, make your case. And as I said, it sounds logical and reasonable. So
I have to ask a sensitive question. At Dram, I just wouldn't
Hmm.
sleep at night if I didn't ask. But if something were to happen to the company man, who makes the decisions around here?
He kind of leans on one of his elbows, like takes a cut on like a piece of meat that he's been working on, puts it up to his mouth, kind of stares at the piece. I do believe that would be me, sir. And he puts it in his mouth and like pulls it off, chews it.
Well, I couldn't imagine a situation where if you thought that was prudent, you wouldn't have already taken care of that. But I'm a man who knows firsthand that accidents happen, and I'm more than happy to go talk to that company man. Lay this case out like you said if you point in that direction. I just wanted to give you, some warning that there's some trouble coming this way with the railroad, and just trying to be quick.
Well, I do appreciate any warnings that you may be given to me, but you may find this hard to believe. I've seen the inside of jail. I don't tend to ever go back.
We share some views. I see. If things pop off, we'll come back. But if you point me in the direction of that company man, I'll see if I can't make quick work of a conversation.
If you would, just keep it to conversation.
100%. I'm sure he'll see reason.
I'd hate to earn my living the way that I used to. He kind of like puts the gun he's been twirling kind of down on the table.
I copy that. And appreciate the work. I do also recognize you're smart enough to know what's going to happen when the railroad does get up here.
Same thing it always does. They rape the land and take everything that's of value off of it, strip it down to its bare bones, and then walk away. They cut their scar straight across this land as deep as they can and use it like a vein to drain all the blood out of it.
Well, they agree to all that. They don't build a lot of jails, but they don't also like to put up with a lot of locals.
Every small town has a big cemetery.
Now, I'd like to see fewer townsfolk in it, if you know what I mean. Railroad men, I don't mind that much. With that, I will move on towards if he points me towards the direction of the claim owner, I guess, would it be company man? Did we get his name?
Mm-hmm. No, not as of yet. But he can give it to you for sure.
Cool.
It's another somewhat
Elven
elven name. Mm-hmm. Ray Avelos.
Aveielos.
Put it in our chat. Ray Avelos.
Ray Aveielos.
There you go.
Con carne. Ray Aveielos con leche.
Funny you should say that. Okay.
Well, I believe that as we're leaving,
Mhm.
Virgil, I think, I don't think Virgil's ever run with this man, but Virgil knows of this man, right? Dram. Now understanding Dram's history, like physically seeing him do the tricks with his guns and everything. Before, in the bar, he didn't see that. now he's putting two to two together and he understands. So as he leaves the space, he will just tip his hat and say, "Sweet dreams, Dream. I hope that everything works out here for the best, as I'm sure you do too." And he'll kind of tip hats from one criminal to another, and you know,
Yeah.
put his
As
hat
you
back on and walk out.
as you turn to walk away, he just kind of nods and he says, "Tomb Talon." All right. So you head down in towards that that tower that has the entrance in it. And as you get closer, you can hear the level of like noise. You hear like the sound of instruments striking stone. You hear people talking, shouting to one another. It very much sounds like a work site as you approach, coming up out of that entrance. And as you kind of like duck underneath the doorway, you can see the remnants of what was likely like a cobbled floor inside this tower. But along one section of it, kind of almost directly opposite of the doorway, that and a part of the wall are completely and totally crushed and crumbled inwards, and the sloping land kind of like down through the rubble kind of leads into a much deeper, much larger cavernous space that you can see very much looks like an old throne room, I guess, like an entrance hall to a palace. Palatial is definitely a word that kind of comes to mind. There's water that seems to kind of like pour in from various different places all along here, and there's an abundance of plant life that seems to be doing fairly well here, despite the fact that it is so inhospitable at the surface currently. And there's a ton of activity going on in here. And just from this spot alone, as you're kind of like coming down into this like cathedral style space, you can see at least probably 10 points of egress, doors or doorways or halls or whatnot that lead out of this space. And you don't see like a collapse or an immediate abrupt end to these. So the suspicions of this being a large claim have like gut punched you into like reality of how that very very might likely be true. What are your characters saying or doing as you're making your way into this enormous space?
I think Saul will message Virgil and just essentially, Virgil, if negotiations turn a tad aggressive, I need you to be intimidating, but don't pop off until I say so. I need to see if we can get the loggers on our side.
Virgil will nod to Soul. I'll do the best I can. You got my word. You just give the go. I'll be there behind you.
And Dusty, see if you can relate to any of the loggers. when we get up there. But they have no idea the hell they're going to bring down upon this place.
Well, I will see if I can find my dwarven friend that I met. However, I don't think the rest of the loggers took too kindly to me. But I will see what I can do.
That's a good point. Forgot that you clean them out. Maybe hang back.
Okay. So you head kind of towards the far end of the room where it looks like there have been some tables and stuff brought down here and kind of set up, a little bit of like a staging area, if you will, where it looks like a lot of the logistics and things are going to be likely planned. And there is another elf seated at a table, much younger, and he is wearing like a leather fringed jacket. He looks very much like, more like the kind of cowboy that you would see in a variety show, like, you know, the kind of cowboy that back east people would believe, you know, was a real frontiersman type. But yeah, he's definitely not he's not cut from the same rugged cloth as most of these loggers are, by any stretch of the imagination. To drive that point further home, perhaps. And again, this is why I said that it was funny you said that. He is drinking milk.
Rey Avaletos con leche.
That's what I said. It's funny you said that.
We meet again. Drinking milk at the site when they were. Yeah. So is he down by the entrance of that place? Or
so, like, kind of on the opposite end, like in the picture you saw, there was a large kind of flat space. I'm gonna bring it back up. Well, no, I'm not doing that.
Got it. So he's near the entrance that we came through.
No. So where is my picture? Okay. So you guys kind of came down,
The
not
water.
right where this water is, but an area
Yep.
like that, very
Okay.
very close, maybe even like on the other side of the room or something. And then in the bottom left of the picture, you see that kind of like half the platform on the top of the staircase.
Yep.
Before it then like goes left and right. That's probably where they have that area set up.
Got it. Makes sense to me. So yeah, I'm totally gonna walk up looking for him. And we got his name now, right? So we know he's Rey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Avaletos? 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 Avaletos. Did you put it in chat?
I did. Avielos.
Avielos. Jesus, you actually putting correct spellings of things in and stuff.
It has an Elven translation, I promise. I just don't remember what it is.
Avielos. Rey Avielos. Mr. Avielos.
Yes? He kind of like
Yes,
turns and looks in your direction.
Yes, I've come to see the claim and to discuss business opportunities. Were you not
Are you a Wellington man?
informed? Oh, I represent individual interests. I've worked with the Wellington Rail and Wellington family in the past, but for this particular endeavor, no. I'm not.
You worked with Sam Wellington, but you don't work with him now.
Yes, it's a free market after all, not slaves.
Oh, I see. Fair enough. Fair enough.
But
Well,
my understanding was that Wellington and the Rails had approached you already, but you hadn't made a decision. Is that right?
Well, as it so happens, I have spent the last several hours in the town of Thunder Ridge discussing that very same matter with representatives from Wellington, who do still work for Wellington Rails, I might add. They seem to be there seems to be much interest in the claim and the offer that Wellington has made to the owner of the Deadfall Timber Company is substantial.
Well, what is substantial, Ray? I mean, one man's substantial is another man's pittance, after all.
I imagine that it may well be more than you might be able to scrape together. He kind of says, kind of looking at you and your group.
I do not cut a figure quite as fine as yourself, Ray, but in my line of work, we don't wear our wealth.
He nods in agreement, like as far as like not cutting as fine a shape as him. When you say not wearing your wealth, well, I hope that you keep it very well hidden then. It
Well,
must be far from you.
Ray, I'm in the acquisitions business. So, whereas Mr. Wellington will be sending his representatives, who I'm sure you chatted with, probably Mr. Tuttle, if I remember correctly.
Indeed.
I think
Mr.
I believe Henry is the one in charge of this general vicinity. I'm sure you had a wonderful conversation about all of the possibilities you had for your little location here, but Ray, I'm going to tell you how it's going to actually happen with them, because I've lived it. They're going to come in and they're going to give you that money, and you're going to give it to your madam who owns the company. I'll pass it along that way, and none of the rest of you are going to get out of here, because they're going to start asking the real questions, questions that I used to get paid to ask, and the questions that my associates used to get paid to ask. And that is, well, what have you found so far, Ray? After all, having unlicensed magical equipment is quite the crime. Would hate for anything to slip between the cracks. You have a license after all?
You don't
right?
say.
Oh,
He says as
I
he
do
kind of
say.
like looks at Virgil with this floating skull behind him.
And I didn't put I didn't close my chest back up, so I still have a glowing chunk of crystal
Okay.
in my chest.
He definitely eyes that as well.
That's why I'm in private acquisitions, Ray. So I no longer wanted to be tied up in that business. But
I see.
due to circumstances I personally did not have any say in, I'm gonna look at Virgil. Clock is ticking on this one. So you can be insulting, and I can see if I can make arrangements with the person who replaces you, or we can see if an arrangement can be made. So if you don't mind me asking, what was Wellington's offer?
He kind of like sips back on this glass of milk as if it were like a whiskey. He sets it down and he pushes the chair across from him out. He says, "Please, take a seat. Before I tell you the offer that was made by Wellington, the generous offer I might add, I think it would be best if I were to have the information to take to the widow Morton of what the counteroffer is."
Wellington most likely offered to buy you out. Am I right?
In totality, that is the
In
profit
totality.
arrangement.
It's a lot easier to clean up that way because once you sign that contract, you're on their property. You're on their claim. And those questions I mentioned start coming back up in spades. That's why a more intelligent business person, as I'm sure the widow is, would be looking for more of a long-term partnership, one where she could leverage her business in timber the same way the rail has leveraged their business in transportation to acquire and license said artifacts. But the problem and the dangerous part is retrieval. Now, Ray, I'm sure you're kind of rugged and rambunctious man that would jump down into this, well, giant fucking temple you have uncovered, and just go poking around yourself. I can tell you again, personal experience, it's not a wise move, and you'll most likely kill yourself and everybody here. My associates and I, through series of misadventures in our youth, have become quite adept at such tasks and endeavors. Or,
I see.
I'm going to lean into Ray, for those of us like Virgil who aren't so much in this line of work, but let's be honest, like, he's not going to live that long anyways. We can put ourselves on the line for a reasonable share. We're taking a large amount of the risk after all. But as a sign of good faith, we would buy into the property.
And this is the point when you would offer a number.
Well, I mean, I've seen what you uncovered now. I doubt that Wellington Rail has seen that in its totality. So I would. Can I do an insight check just to see? I don't
Ooh, yeah.
like personally. I don't know range at all. So like, I
Sure.
don't know. I think that I would know range for like a claim like that, or what the rail would be willing to offer.
Yeah, since you have a history of actually working for them, like exploring claims and things, I'd say that you can have advantage on this roll.
Jeez, and then with that, I'm still mediocre. We said what, insight?
Mm-hmm.
That's +3, so that's a 15.
that's pretty good. So these things can be difficult to put a distinct value on, just because there's so much of it that is they don't know what it is until they get it back east and like really examine it. But the size of this room being as intact as it is, with as many exits as you see, your guess is that this is going to pay out to be like in the millions.
Yeah, but what would the
Probably, like-
rail offer for that though, right? Like,
Right. So the rail is notorious for bullying people into a much lower price than would be a reasonable thing to accept. That is definitely something that all of the Mage Barons are famous for. The Mage Barons are the same ones that each of them owns a railway, essentially. As far as what they would offer for a place like this, I don't know, man. This is like one of probably like the larger end of what you have heard of. It might even be like one of the largest intact rooms that you've actually seen before, even with your experience. Your guess would probably be easily into the 6 figures.
got it. Indeed, Ray, this is the time when we make an offer. I'm gonna message Virgil and them and be like, if we gotta kill him to get it back, we gotta kill him to get it back, but there's no holding back on this one. Like, so I'll be like, Ray,
And then hold I think for him he's like, "Are you wanting me to intimidate
no,
him?
no, no,
or
no, no,
to
no, no,
murder
no,
him?"
no, 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 not now, no. I'm
Oh,
just
Virgil
saying.
pulls his
okay,
gun and like draws down.
You gave me a job, Soul. You said when I
Saul
give
is
the signal, get intimidating. I'm ready to do it whenever you're ready.
Saul forgets who he's with, and it's like has having this message conversation with Virgil while dragging on a cigarette, trying not to choke to death as for how long it's taking. As he's like, "No, goddamn it, I'm just saying, don't shoot me when I'm about to do."
Oh, yeah. No, you're fine. Do what you got to do. You're
Got
fine.
it. As I was saying, right. I'm not here to offer some of money to own the claim. What I want is a time for investment between the two business entities. Between your madam and myself, my organization, where all we need is some time. Truth of the matter is, Ray, you're not getting out of here this winter. You're not going to go back and see her. So, best case scenario, you're going to send her a post about all this. The hate to spoil it, Ray. The railroad's riding up here right now, and they're not riding up here in a friendly manner. So you tell me what you think they're coming to do right at the end of winter. Have a quick negotiation, hang out for the night, get some drinks, saunter back to town, head back east, come back next week? No, Ray. Your options are you all side with us, and I'm going to give you and your associates 3,000 gold, 1,000 gold a month, or 3,000 gold right now to hold up these negotiations and offer this partnership to the widow. We dive, we retrieve. You are her man in the field who takes the goods back and gets them registered. We all profit. And the town
And
doesn't need the railroad. And the loggers around here don't have to worry about what the railroad does to these kind of locations.
and without the rail being built to Thunder Ridge, how do you propose to move this extensive selection back east?
Ray, how many claims you see get moved by rail in large chunks? Not how it works. The majority of a claim, Ray, is fluff, garbage. If you're lucky, some rich elven asshole back east will decide to buy a piece to put in his home as a decorative item. Because it resonates just a touch of magic. Ooh. Ray, the money's in the small stuff, the powerful things, the things that could be taken and moved and weaponized. You don't move those by rail, Ray. You move those by night.
Circumvent the academies and the Mage Barons? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Ray, circumvent the Mage Barons, but not the academies. And with that, I will just I know I have some sort of prestidigitations, or where's my cantrips I have up right now? Oh yeah, I have prestidigitation. So I could start using minor magics in front of him.
He kind of looks around. Well, I suppose I could delay negotiations for at least a day or two, as I get word back to the Widow Morton and find out what her stance is going to be on this.
Oh, what do you want better, Ray? We'll go in. Your men are guarding the front here. We'll go in and start exploring. We'll find something, come back, bring it to you as a sign of good faith. Just do me a favor and don't fucking set off any more goddamn dynamite.
What makes you think that we haven't been down inside already?
No, Ray, that's what scares the shit out of me is that you have. You seem like an intelligent person, Ray, but I've seen many people who seem intelligent fumblefuck their way into more problems than they can ever see.
You don't say. He kind of
Oh,
looks
I do
down
say.
again to the chunk of crystal like sticking out of your chest.
No, I do say, Ray. I've seen it. If you want a matching piece of hardware, it can be obtained. I assure you it comes with a great deal of pain and suffering that you don't really want. I mean, look at Virgil, for fuck's sake.
Very well. I'm going to entertain this idea. I'm going to give you until this time tomorrow. Head down into the claims, see what you can find. You bring me proof that you can handle yourself and make it worth our while, then I'll take your offer to the Widow Morton myself.
Excellent. If possible, between you and Dram up there, maybe, let's make sure we get a chance to chat before we get shot on the way out. We'll be back tomorrow.
Oh, and I think it goes without saying that anything you find down there, that belongs to the Deadfall Timber Company.
Oh, Ray, I think we both have said a lot that whatever we find down there, either it's going to be a partnership with us or Wellington Rail is just going to take it anyways. Ask yourself
Well,
while we're gone, Ray, how many rich claim owners you know whose last name don't happen to line up with a railroad.
he stays silent for a long moment. Then he empties his glass of milk. Well, I have done enough for a day's worth of business. I believe I am ready to turn in. Best of luck to you. If you don't die, well then, I suppose we'll see just how valuable you might prove to be. Best of luck to you. I hope it's profitable and interesting.
So above board, he said we have 24 hours. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
24 hours from the point from this point tomorrow to bring back
From now. Yep.
From now, right? From this point till tomorrow. So basically tomorrow evening.
Correct.
We would have 24 hours to dive in and come back.
Find something that's going to change his mind.
So much for resting.
I mean, we could probably convince them to give us some time so that we are at full capacity before we dive.
I mean, that's only 8 hours.
It's only 8 of our time.
Yeah, that's only 8 hours.
We could eat that time. I mean, you short rested yourself back to health, right? Is anybody else down on anything?
I mean, I'm down a couple HP, but that's about it now.
Oh, fuck it, let's go in. We can always long rest in the middle before we come back if we need to.
That's true.
Oh,
I say always, like we won't die before we ever get that chance. But
nothing like resting in a ruin that we don't know jack shit about.
Sounds
I
like
literally
famous
said
last words.
I literally said, "What's the worst that could happen?" Splitting the party the last time I played with Todd, and yeah,
Yep.
what's the worst that could happen? We'll be all right.
Fantastic. So it sounds like we are headed into the ruins. I think that's actually where we're going to stop for the evening. right on the threshold of heading into
Dungeon dive.
the dungeon delve. Yeah, absolutely.
First dungeon delve of the campaign, y'all. Let's go. I'm
It's
down.
a first one in a long time for me. I don't think we've in any of my other stuff. We had a short one shot. That's about it. But
Yep.
not a delve.
Now, if somehow this is a reskin Tomb of Annihilation, we're all fucked. We're all fucked.
I'll know pretty quick because I'm pretty sure I remember the entrance to that.
He's like, oh, look, you on your first claim. Survive.
That's the one that like Elias shows up back outside naked without any of his equipment. I'm like, God damn it. It's the door behind the door.
I don't think that there's any that there's any danger of that, but I won't say anymore. Yeah, this was awesome, y'all. I'm really happy that y'all chose to go to the claim, and I'm very much looking forward to delving, finding out what's underneath the ground here. This is one of the places where I think Caldera becomes a really different and interesting setting. It kind of diverts a little from the Western genre, but in a really fun way. So I'm excited to kind of like pull the layers back on that and see what we can find. Cool. I'm going to pass things back over to my players so that they can give any kind of like parting words. And once again, mention where you may be able to find them, plug anything that they've got going on, and then we're going to call it an evening. So we're going to start with, in reverse order, with the other Chad.
I've known him my entire life. I had a pleasure. Oh man, you brought my villain to life so well. Thank you very much. From my backstory, way to bring him in. I hope that get some vengeance served up here, but we'll see how that pans out. Excited to go to the claim and see what that's all about. That's what all the fuss was about from the get-go, so it'll be very interesting. As always, thank you all for your time. It was a pleasure. And as for me, myself, you can find me right here, I guess mostly. Otherwise, check out this place called Absolute Tabletop on their various social media platforms, and you can meet up with other people like this and join games just like this, or maybe even run your own. And you could even just world build, bounce ideas off of each other, whatever have you. And I think that's about it for me. So thank you very much.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I agree. Like, if you're thinking about running a game, like run a game. If you're wanting to play, like play a game. Like reach out to people, ask them, if they're available. If you can't find somebody to run a game for you, then run a game. Get a group of people together. I highly recommend it. I don't think that there's anything in this world that's going to make you a better player than taking a turn as a GM, and vice versa. Nothing's going to make you a better GM than getting the chance to play. You very, very quickly learn what you like and what you don't like from the other side of the screen, in my opinion. So, yeah, this was an absolute blast, man. Thanks for being a part of it. All right, speaking of an absolute blast, next up we have Glenn.
Thank you, sir. It's been great. Thanks everybody for listening to me ramble for a while. Felt like I talked a lot in this one, but I play characters that talk a lot, so it's fitting. Yeah, I want to parrot everything that other Chad said about AdTab. It's great, but at the same time, also, no matter what part of the hobbies you're into, dive into Jeremy's videos and the links, because the one I was watching the other day, I think I forget, you're gonna please fill in the blanks on what group, the domain group or group of sites for like miniature
terrain
model
domain.
making, mini
Yep.
terrain domain. Like, thank you. You put me in touch with that. So now I'm diving into those videos and stuff. It's a great community that keeps
wow.
growing and building that stuff up. So excited to be a part of it. So glad I reached out to get a chance to play, and everybody else who comes across this should too.
Yeah, man, absolutely, I agree. Yeah, Jake with Mini Terrain Domain is a fantastic human being and an incredible dungeon master, crafter, you name it. Like he's very, very gifted at what he does, and he has a really awesome community on Discord and on his Twitch channel and stuff like that. So yeah, I have the the luck to play with a really good group on his channel on Thursday nights. We play Kids on Bikes, and Chadimus Prime is a part of that game as well. It's a very, very fun game of filled with nostalgia and super weird, quirky hijinks and lots of emotional teenage bullshit. So it's a fun game. Yeah, speaking of emotional teenage bullshit, next up is Todd. I have no idea where I'm going with this.
No, that's pretty fitting. Yeah. Actually.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's always a fun time playing with this group of people. And I'm really happy that Glenn reached out and said, hey, we need to try this game and this GM. And we've had fun series of games with you. So yeah, everybody check out his videos. Set up a game to play with him. And thank you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I agree. I'm very, very happy that that you and Glenn reached out and got in contact with me. It's been awesome having this opportunity to run games for y'all. Meeting strangers to play games online is always dicey. It's, especially through a site like Start Playing where you just there is no prior engagement at all. It's a complete shot in the dark sometimes, and yeah, I think it's worked.
It's hit or miss, but if you keep swinging, you'll find the right group. So
yeah, absolutely. But it makes me happy that that y'all feel like y'all have found that place that where you're comfortable to play, and y'all had a lot of fun. We ran a really great game of Harbinger, and whenever y'all rolled right into the next one and you picked Caldera, I was just pleased as punch. So I'm having a ball running this for y'all. So thank you for coming along and bringing a really great character in Elias. I'm eager to go back some of his backstory a little too. So
yeah, when you have Virgil kill me.
Oh well, we'll see. His list is growing, so all right, speaking of a growing list, next up is Nathan.
My to-do list is getting bigger and bigger every day, so I mean that's fair.
It's really just about how you use it, man.
I'm Nathan, also known as Dimension 119. That's where you can find me on all the socials. Go check them out. But everybody's talking about checking out Jeremy's videos. Go check those out too. Specifically the Dune episodes that we've been playing lately. Those are fantastic. Me and Chad are in that game, and I didn't know hardly anything about Dune before we started this. I had seen one movie prior to it, and then I watched the part 1 of the new Dune movies like 3 days before we played our first session, and now I just want more Dune. I feel the same way about this game and this campaign and this group. Like, we haven't played in a while, so I felt like it was a little bit of an adjustment, like adjusting my brain back into this setting and back into this Western style. But now I'm like, man, I want to go watch Tombstone again. I want to go consume some more Western so that I can keep on this high until we get to play again. Because I mean, I'm a big fan of Jeremy's games. I will try to get in whatever I can, but Jeremy has a gift for getting groups together that are just enjoyable to play with too. So I hopefully we don't have to wait as long to play this again with you guys. But also, I'm not wearing it tonight, but if you have a chance, it's not going to show up. I'll fix that. I can fix that.
I can fix it in post. Fix it in post. We're good.
No, I can fix it live.
Fix
it live. You just have to look at my wall.
There you go.
Get you a shirt. Go get you
yeah, baby. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. You can find those at my store. I think it's Teespring. I don't remember. You can find the link somewhere. But yeah, man, I appreciate the shout out. And yes, absolutely. If you are looking for more crazy goodness, then yeah, we are in the middle of a 2-part trilogy of Dune. Like, it happens. So this coming Friday, which should be the finale of that game. Very much looking forward to wrapping that one up. That's been a lot of fun too. And then at some point in October, around Halloween time, I'm going to be running a game that is based entirely on a typo that my wife made. In that game is going to be called Campfire, and it's going to be about a summer camp full of Girl Scouts that gets attacked by a vampire, as told as a 1980s VHS horror movie. So, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that game. Just kind of in the early processes of putting that together. So yeah, look for that here on the channel later as well.
Jeremy, before you continue on, can I just say very well done on that graphic you put out when you posted it in the Discord and I saw it. I thought you actually found a VHS called Campfire, and I was like, I haven't heard of this either. And then I saw your logo and read the rest of it, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yes, good. Viral marketing at its finest. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I'm super excited for it. I'm really into the aesthetic, so I'm having a lot of fun with it. So, all right. Speaking of into the aesthetic and having a lot of fun with, last but certainly not least, Badly.
Oh, I thought you were gonna tip me up with the viral marketing thing, but no. That's
Speaking
great.
of viral marketing.
Speaking of viral marketing, it's me. Hi guys. I will always be your forever viral marketing consultant. Hi guys. This game is bananas. And I here's the thing. I can sit around with these guys once a month and we cannot roll a single die. And I can still love the story that we tell. And if that is any credit to the kind of GM that Jeremy is, I think that speaks volumes, because when you're truly enjoying a setting that someone has created, you stop worrying about the mechanics of whatever system that you're playing. You don't care about that anymore. All you care about is the characters that you've built, the story that you're telling, and those are the things that we all set up for. We all hope for. That's what we want in any game. I want to be able to take myself away from mechanics side of things, and then when I come back into, when I go to talk to other people who aren't in the realm space of tabletop gaming, I want to be able to get them into the realm of tabletop gaming by being like, you know what else I did last night? I played a fucking awesome, cool ass Western. And they're like, oh, really? What kind of thing did you do? And then I get to explain to them, this is how I play. This is the thing. These are the things that I do. And then that gets them interested in the hobby. And then we start the conversation. And so one thing that I'll say about that is that I think that Jeremy does this so well. And you should take the time to go to start playing, get yourself involved in any of his games. This man has for as much as I know you do in real life, Jeremy, you take so much time and effort, which I don't know how you do it as a human being. I don't know how you go through so many months, and I know you run so many games throughout the year. I don't know how you have time to have family, game, and have your job all in the same space and make it so that all of these games are all seamlessly done. And they're I know you're going to say, whoa, wait a minute now.
Seamless is a pretty strong word here.
Okay, but I'm serious. Think about some of the things that you have done on this channel. And I just there are some games that I've played in or I've even watched where you have done some things mechanically that I haven't witnessed other people do. right? Like the way that you've done certain visuals, the way that you've played certain aspects of the game out, even changing certain mechanics to fit the kind of setting that you're wanting to run. Like that's what makes those games immersive, and that's what makes them special. That's why people keep coming back to this channel. That's why you should keep coming back to this channel and watching all these like campaigns and wonderful things. He does it so well, and I love him. And not just because he's one of my best friends, it's because like his proof is in the pudding. Like you can literally go to any of these games across this channel and you will get immersed in any setting that this man runs. So I love you as a brother. I support everything you do, but for real, if you haven't had a chance to play with him, which his schedule fills up a lot, but if you get a chance to get in the game, play with him, because he's pretty much the most excellent person I know. And with that, I am Chad. I'm here on the regular. You'll see my face in a lot of this stuff, I'm sure. I am over at Mini Terrain Domain on Thursdays. I'm with this goober next Friday, right? Or this upcoming Friday?
Yeah,
right? It's
3
this
days.
Friday. This upcoming Friday. Yeah, I'm with this goober on Friday for Dune. And then Tuesday next month at some point we'll be doing that, and then a lot of other stuff. I don't know. Anywho, that's me. That's my life. I'm done being your corporate shill. Erasmus Expeditions, everybody. Erasmus Expeditions. Let's go.
I very much appreciate that, Chad. Sincerely, man. Yeah, I never know what to say to the kind of kindness that that you're showing with those very, very thoughtful words. But thank you. I enjoy doing this. I really, this is my passion. I love storytelling. I love storytelling in this medium, in tabletop role-playing games, and part of the reason that I love doing it is being able to tell stories with groups of people who get it, who they understand what I'm trying to do when I present a setting like this, and I try to build a certain aesthetic or a tone or a genre or whatever around it, and people who are the kinds of players that when they come to the table they add to that as opposed to detract to it, are always the kinds of people that I'm going to want to sit down and play with again and again and again. So thank all of you very much for being those kinds of players. This is not, and again, I don't have games like this, thankfully, but I don't have to dread sitting down and running a game for a group like this, because I know that whatever I have on paper, whatever I do ahead of time, is only going to be magnified by, exponential growth whenever we actually get to doing it. So it becomes exciting. Even material that I've prepped probably 3 months ago now at this point, 2 months ago, becomes fresh and new again because of the entirely different direction or the spin that all of you are able to bring to it, the blood that you're able to kind of like pump back into its body. Yeah, so it makes it exciting and thrilling. So thank you for being those kinds of players. For those of you who may be watching this game, thank you very, very much for tuning in, whether you're watching live with us or whether you may be tuning in further down the road at some point in the future. It really genuinely is appreciated that people come to this channel for entertainment. It baffles me, but I am very, very, very pleased. So do all the stuff that the algorithm likes to see. Hit the like button, share the link around, subscribe to the channel if you like this. There is a lot of other content on the channel. I think there's nearing 400 videos now at some point. So yeah, stick around. There's more to come, and Remember that kindness is a free action. It costs you absolutely nothing to be nice to people, and the world needs a lot more kindness in it right now. So go out, be nice. Yeah, I think we're going to call it a night. So until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.